So I mentioned to somebody the other day that I keep a sort of running list of all the things I've learned working with people for 20 years now, as a social worker, a meditation teacher, a counselor, working on a college campus, and now working with leaders and executives as a coach and as a consultant. And I just mentioned it offhand, and they said, why don't you do a series of videos on that? And at first, I didn't want to, but I do know I need to do more videos. This is what people want, so I figured this would be a way to give you something useful while also practicing doing these videos for myself. So, I'm not going to get these edited. I may throw them up on a little graphic template that I create on Canva or something like that. But for the most part, I'm just going to throw these out there, and I'm going to work on keeping them around a minute or two long, because one thing I do want to work on is like condensing what I say and not rambling and stuff. So, but when I was thinking of which one to start with, I think that one of the most important things I've learned working with people, and that any of us can learn, is that we have to teach ourselves to be aware of the stories our mind is telling about things. We have to be aware of the situation and then the story our mind is telling us about the situation. We have to learn to be aware of the sensation in our body and then the story our mind tells us about it to turn it into an emotion. Most of us live in this state where we take the story that our mind is telling us to be true, and that completely eliminates reality from the situation. It takes everything and puts it through our perspective, which is very limited and is bound by things like just how we're feeling that day and what we want and what we think we're supposed to have and all these other stories. Like, that's the way we live, is just stories on stories on stories. And the more that we can learn to, get behind that and be able to see it and not buy into it, the easier our life is, because it just forces us into this place of objectivity. It forces us into a place of saying, okay, what's the best thing to do? What's the right thing to do? What's the best course of action I should take, instead of all these, what our mind is telling us about what we deserve and what we should have and how the situation should be. When we learn to step back and know the difference between like what's happening and the story our mind is telling us about what's happening, everything gets easier, because we are just in line with reality. We're not fighting it. We're not swimming upstream. It just keeps us in a flow with the way things are, instead of the way we wish they were.